Death can sometimes occur in the least expected places, especially in locations meant for relaxation, fun, and adventure. This is a fitting description of Yellowstone National Park. The park is famous for its thermal springs, including the legendary Old Faithful Glacier, which erupts with clockwork precision, delighting spectators. Yellowstone is also home to an impressive diversity of wildlife, with its vast meadows and forests providing sanctuary for majestic elk, graceful mule, deer, bears, and herds of bison that roam freely across the land. Every year, millions of visitors come to experience its stunning landscapes and diverse wildlife. However, the park's geothermal features also pose significant risks. Even a single misstep can lead to severe consequences, highlighting the potential dangers of these volcanic landscapes. It is a place where nature's beauty can quickly turn deadly. Since the park's opening in 1872, it has claimed the lives of over 150 people through various accidents involving its thermal features, wildlife, and icy waters. The unfortunate occurrences of fatal accidents within the park are a cause for concern, and some of these incidents will be explored here. One of the earliest and most tragic incidents in Yellowstone's history occurred on August 24, 1926, involving Reverend Gilbert Eakins, a 32-year-old pastor touring the park with his parents. As dusk settled around 8 p.m., Pastor Eakins was walking with his family near the West Thumb area when he tragically slipped and fell into a hot, boiling spring. In a desperate bid to escape the scalding water that had already seared the lower half of his body, he fell into another thermal pool before ultimately plunging headfirst back into the first one. When he finally managed to crawl out of the water, he was horrifyingly burned. In 1926, medical treatments were far from advanced. A nearby doctor, faced with this dire situation, removed Eakins' charred clothing, covered his wounds in oil, and administered a small dose of morphine to ease his suffering. Despite these efforts, Eakins had been fully immersed and swallowed a considerable amount of boiling water. Tragically, despite the doctor's best attempts to save him, he succumbed to his injuries while being transported from the park. Yellowstone National Park has not only been the site of tragic human fatalities, but also heart-wrenching incidents involving visitors' pets. One such event occurred on July 30, 1981, when David Kirwan and his friend Ronald Ratliff visited the park's fountain paint pots, accompanied by Ratliff's dog, Moosey. Arriving around 1 p.m., they planned to explore the bubbling mud pots on the park's eastern edge. Given the hazardous proximity of the boiling waters, they wisely decided to leave Moosey in their truck while they explored. However, Moosey managed to escape the vehicle and, driven by curiosity and excitement, dashed into the nearby Celestine Pool. A perilous 202 degrees Fahrenheit, the anguished whimpering of the dog quickly alerted Kirwan and Ratliff. Without a moment's hesitation, Kirwan plunged into the scalding pool, despite the warnings from other visitors. Witnesses reported that Kirwan managed to reach Moosey but was unable to rescue the dog before the intense heat overwhelmed him. Struggling through the excruciating pain of his burns, he staggered back to the edge of the pool. As bystanders pulled him out, it became evident that he was severely burned and he had lost his sight. Quietly, Kirwan murmured, "That was stupid. How bad am I? That was a stupid thing I did." Park rangers later discovered large fragments of Kirwan's skin near the thermal pool, and medical professionals could do little to treat his extensive third-degree burns and blindness. As the relentless dangers of Yellowstone continued to claim lives, Colin Scott's tragic death served as a stark reminder of the perils of ignoring warnings. On June 7, 2016, Colin and his sister Sable were hiking through a prohibited section of the park when Colin fell into a hot spring. Sable Scott was filming a video of the pair intentionally walking off the Norris Glacier Basin's boardwalk. Colin leaned over a steaming pool to test the water and slipped, falling into the dangerously acidic hot spring. Despite Sable's frantic efforts to save her brother, the 23-year-old was unable to escape the scalding waters. The phone continued to capture the harrowing scene. Park rangers were alerted and quickly arrived at the location, finding Colin's head, upper torso, and hands visible in the bubbling spring. Rangers noted a V-neck style shirt and what appeared to be a cross resting on Colin's face. Sadly, he had succumbed to the extreme heat and suffered severe thermal burns. Rescuers were unable to safely recover Scott's body due to the volatile thermal area and an incoming lightning storm. When officials returned the following morning, they were met with the devastating sight of Colin's remains, which had seemingly dissolved, consumed by the spring's intense heat and acidic nature. In 2022, an unusual discovery caught the attention of visitors and rangers at Abyss Pool in the West Thumb Glacier Basin of Yellowstone National Park, one of the park's deepest and hottest thermal features. A park visitor spotted a black shoe floating upside down in the pool, which led to a swift response from the park rangers. Intriguingly, this wasn't the first time the ranger had encountered odd items in the pool. Just a week earlier, he had retrieved 2 other shoes from the same spot. But this particular shoe aroused the rangers' curiosity. It was unusually heavy, and they soon discovered that part of what appeared to be bone and human remains was still attached to the footwear, which was missing its sole. The investigation led them to a nearby unclaimed vehicle registered to Ilhan Ro, a 70-year-old man. Although they found his belongings, including personal notes and poems, the circumstances of his death remain shrouded in mystery. No witnesses reported seeing him enter the 140-degree Fahrenheit pool, and besides the shoe and the foot, no other evidence was uncovered. Authorities confirmed that no suicide note was found and ruled out foul play. They concluded that Ro's death was accidental, but the reasons for his presence in the hot pool and how he ended up there remain unresolved. While most accidents at Yellowstone National Park involve visitors, park employees are not immune to the park's dangers. During the summer of 2020, a group of college students arrived at the park for summer jobs, relishing the perks of their roles such as hiking, working, and bonding with one another. However, tragedy struck on August 21st when some of these summer employees went swimming in the Firehole River near Mount Glacier. After a day full of fun as night fell, the group began their journey back to the employee parking lot. Without flashlights, they were confident they could navigate safely. In high spirits, enjoying the camaraderie of a day spent together, they headed home. 3 of them lingered behind, walking hand in hand through the darkness. They stumbled upon what seemed to be a narrow stream, believing they could easily jump over it. Tragically, they were mistaken. They were standing above a pit of boiling water, appearing narrow due to the overhanging ledges of dirt. Unaware of the peril, the trio leaped together. They landed on the dirt ledge, which immediately collapsed, plunging them into the hot spring below. Their screams alerted the rest of the group, who rushed back and quickly pulled them out. Despite their swift rescue, all 3 suffered severe burns over most of their bodies. With expert medical care, 2 survived, but 1 did not. Sarah Hulpers, just 20 years old, was the shortest and had been most submerged, succumbing to her injuries. Hundreds attended Sarah's funeral. She was beloved by all who knew her and had been immensely happy working in Yellowstone that summer. Her loss was deeply felt by her colleagues and those from her home state of Washington. These incidents are just a few of the thermal injuries recorded throughout Yellowstone's long history. Countless other stories exist. Tales of people venturing off boardwalks, stumbling into hidden potholes, or diving into what they thought was merely warm water, only to find it scalding hot. According to retired Yellowstone historian Lee Whittlesey, since the park's opening in 1872, 8 people have been killed by bears, and 22 deaths have been related to the park's thermal features. However, over the past 150 years, 123 people have drowned in Yellowstone's icy waters. The danger posed by Yellowstone's hot springs is indisputable. On certain occasions, especially for the first-time visitors, guides could be encouraged to accompany tourists through the park. However, some visitors might resist this idea, preferring to venture beyond restricted boundaries to satisfy their curiosity. In most places, when a threat to the public is this severe, measures are taken to neutralize it. Some argue that similar action should be taken in Yellowstone. Fences erected around the springs, warning signs placed by every pool and river, and visitors guided and protected by railings and repeated warnings. If Yellowstone were a workplace or a residential area, such measures would seem more than reasonable. But it is not. Yellowstone is a wilderness, one that is only slightly tamed. In any wilderness, there is inherent danger. Making Yellowstone completely safe would mean stripping away its wildness, erasing what makes it a place worth preserving. This is not to say that safety isn't a priority. The National Park Service is composed of ordinary people who cherish the landscape they work in and who feel deeply about every death and injury that occurs there. However, they recognize that incidents like these cannot practically be prevented through barriers and signage alone. Instead, the focus is on education. Visitors are informed that exploring a wild and untamed place like Yellowstone can lead to accidents. This awareness is not meant to deter exploration, but to encourage it to be done with caution and an understanding of nature's unforgiving side. On certain occasions, guides could be encouraged to accompany tourists through the park. If you found this video informative and thought-provoking, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, and share it with others who might benefit from this story.